Hey everyone, welcome back to Raggedy Ass Rich, where we talk about real money. I'm your host, and today we're tackling something that affects millions of people: debt, credit card debt, student loan debt, medical debt, all of it. We're talking about how people get trapped and, more importantly, how to get out. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's start with this. Debt is designed to keep you stuck. I'm not saying don't ever use credit. I'm not saying all debt is bad. But I am saying that the way debt works in this country is predatory. It's designed to trap you, to keep you paying, to keep you owing. And people who benefit from that system want you to believe it's your fault you are in debt. You shouldn't have taken out those loans. You should have been more responsible with your credit cards. But they don't talk about how college costs have skyrocketed while wages stayed flat. Our credit cards target young people who don't understand interest yet. How one medical emergency can put you in debt for years. So, before we talk about how to get out of debt, I need you to understand, if you are in debt, it's not entirely your fault. The system is rigged, and you got caught in the trap. But you can get out. Let's break down the different types of debt because they're not all the same. First, we have good debt versus bad debt. Good debt is debt that builds wealth or increases your earning potential. Examples: a mortgage. You're building equity in a home. Student loans, if they lead to a degree that increases your income. A business loan, if it grows a profitable business. Bad debt is debt for things that decrease in value or don't build wealth. Examples: credit card debt for consumer purchases, car loans for a car you can't afford, payday loans. Now, even good debt can become bad debt if you take on too much of it. A mortgage is good unless it's so high you can't afford your other expenses. Student loans are good unless you borrowed $100,000 for a degree that pays $30,000 a year. So, it's not just what you borrow, it's how much and why. Let's talk specifically about credit cards because this is where a lot of people get stuck. Credit cards are useful. They build credit. They offer rewards. They are convenient. But they are also dangerous because credit cards make it too easy to spend money you don't have. Here's how people get trapped. You get a credit card with a $2,000 limit. At first, you use it responsibly. You pay it off every month, but then something happens. An emergency, an unexpected expense, and you don't have the cash, so you put it on the card. It's fine, you tell yourself. I'll pay it off next month. But next month comes and you can only afford the minimum payment. So now you are carrying a balance, and that balance is accruing interest. And because credit card interest rates are insane, often 20% or higher, that $2,000 balance grows fast. Before you know it, you're stuck in a cycle, making minimum payments, barely touching the principal, paying mostly interest. And that's exactly where credit card companies want you. Because the longer you carry a balance, the more money they make. So here's the rule. If you can't pay off your credit card in full every month, you shouldn't be using it. I know that's harsh. I know emergencies happen. But credit cards are not emergency funds. They are a trap disguised as a safety net. Now, let's talk about student loans. Student loan debt is a crisis in this country. People are graduating with $50,000, $100,000, sometimes $200,000 in debt. And for what? A degree that might get them a job that pays $40,000 a month? Do the math. That doesn't work. And the worst part, student loans are nearly impossible to discharge. You can't get rid of them in bankruptcy. They follow you forever. And the interest? It's brutal. I've heard stories of people who borrowed $30,000, paid back $40,000, and still owe $30,000 because the interest kept compounding. It's a scam. It's predatory. And it's destroying an entire generation. So what do you do if you have student loans? Option 1, income-driven repayment plans. If you have federal loans, you can apply for an income-driven repayment plan. This caps your monthly payment at a percentage of your income. And after 20 to 25 years of payments, the remaining balance is forgiven. Option 2, public service loan forgiveness. If you work for a qualifying employer, government, nonprofit, and you make 120 qualifying payments, your remaining balance is forgiven, tax-free. But, and this is important, the program has a lot of red tape. Make sure you're actually enrolled. Make sure your employer qualifies. Make sure your payments count. Option 3, refinancing. If you have private student loans or if you have a high income and good credit, you might be able to refinance to a lower interest rate. But if you refinance federal loans, you lose federal protections. No more income-driven plans, no more forbearance options, no more forgiveness programs. So, think carefully before you refinance. Alright, so let's talk about strategies for paying off debt. There are two main approaches, the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. The debt snowball method, you pay off your smallest debt first, regardless of interest rate. Once that's paid off, you take that payment and add it to the next smallest debt, and so on and so forth until all your debts are paid. The advantage? Quick wins, momentum, motivation. Seeing debts disappear keeps you motivated to keep going. It's psychological, and for a lot of people, that psychological boost is what they need. The debt avalanche method. You pay off your debt with the highest interest rate first. Once that's paid off, you move to the next highest interest rate, and so on. The advantage? You save more money on interest. Mathematically, this is the most efficient method. You're tackling the most expensive debt first, which saves you the most money in the long run. So, which one should you choose? Honestly, whichever one you'll actually stick with. If you need those quick wins to stay motivated, do the snowball. If you're disciplined and want to save the most money, do the avalanche. The important thing is that you are doing something, because any progress is better than no progress. Now, here's something important that people don't talk about enough. You can't stay out of debt if you don't have an emergency fund, because emergencies will happen. Your car will break down, you'll have a medical bill, something will come up. And if you don't have savings, you're going to put it on a credit card, and now you're back in debt. So even while you're paying off debt, you need to build a small emergency fund. Start with $500, then $1,000. It doesn't have to be huge, it just has to be something. Because that buffer is what keeps you from going back into debt every time something goes wrong. Once your debt is paid off, then you can focus on building a bigger emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses is the goal. But in the meantime, even a small cushion makes a huge difference. Alright, let's talk about what not to do when you're trying to get out of debt. Mistake number 1, ignoring it. The debt doesn't go away just because you're not looking at it. In fact, it gets worse. Interest keeps accruing, late fees pile up, collections start calling. So face it. Look at your balances. Know what you owe. You can't fix what you won't acknowledge. Mistake number 2, only making minimum payments. If you only make minimum payments on credit cards, you'll be paying for years, maybe decades, and you'll pay way more in interest than the original amount you borrowed. So, pay more than the minimum whenever possible. Even an extra $20 or $50 a month makes a difference. Mistake number 3, taking out new debt to pay off old debt. This is called robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it doesn't work. Taking out a personal loan to pay off credit cards doesn't solve the problem. It just moves it around. Unless you're consolidating at a lower interest rate and you're not going to rack up more credit card debt, it's not worth it. Mistake number 4, falling for debt relief scams. There are companies out there that promise to eliminate your debt or settle for pennies on the dollar. Some of them are legit, most of them are scams. They charge you upfront fees, they ruin your credit, they don't actually help. If you need help with debt, talk to a nonprofit credit counseling agency. Look for agencies accredited by the National Foundation for Credit Counseling. They can help you create a plan, negotiate with creditors, and consolidate debt without charging predatory fees. Now I want to talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough: the mental and emotional toll of debt. Debt is stressful. It keeps you up at night. It affects your relationships. It makes you feel like you are drowning. And that stress is real. It's not just in your head. Financial stress affects your physical health. It causes anxiety and depression. It makes you feel hopeless, like you'll never get ahead. And I need you to know, if you're feeling that way, you are not alone. Millions of people are in debt. Millions of people are struggling. And it's not because they are bad with money or lazy or irresponsible. It's because the system is designed to keep people in debt. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, give yourself some grace. You're doing the best you can in a system that's working against you. But also know you can get out. It won't be easy, it won't be fast, but it is possible. And every payment you make is progress. Every dollar you put toward debt is a step closer to freedom. Alright, let's get practical. Let's talk about how to create an actual debt payoff plan. Step 1, list all your debts. Write down who you owe, how much you owe, the interest rate, the minimum payment. Get it all out in front of you. Step 2, choose your strategy: debt snowball or debt avalanche. Pick one and commit to it. Step 3, find extra money to put toward debt. Look at your budget. Where can you cut expenses? Can you cancel subscriptions? Eat out less? Reduce your grocery bill? Even small amounts add up. If you can find an extra $100 a month, that's $1,200 a year toward debt. Step 4, automate your payments. Set up automatic payments so you never miss one. Missing payments means late fees and higher interest. You can't afford that. Step 5, track your progress. Use a spreadsheet, use an app, use pen and paper, whatever works for you. But watch those balances go down. Seeing progress is motivating. Step 6, celebrate milestones. When you pay off a debt, celebrate. Not by spending money you don't have, but by acknowledging the win. Tell someone, post about it, give yourself some credit. You are doing something hard. You deserve to feel proud. Now let's talk about what comes after you're debt-free, because getting out of debt is just the beginning. Once you're debt-free, you have options. The money that was going toward debt payments, now you can build your emergency fund, investment for retirement, save for a house, take that trip you've been dreaming about. You have freedom. But here's what you need to avoid: falling back into debt. Once you're out, you have to stay out. That means living below your means, avoiding lifestyle inflation, only using credit cards if you can pay them off in full, building that emergency fund so you don't need to use credit for emergencies. Because if you don't change the behaviors that got you into debt, you'll end up right back where you started. But if you do change those behaviors, if you commit to living differently, you can stay debt-free forever. And that's when real wealth building begins. Alright, let's wrap this up. Debt is a trap, but it's not permanent. You can get out. It takes a plan. It takes discipline. It takes time. But every payment gets you closer. So if you're in debt right now, make a list, choose a strategy, find extra money, automate payments, track progress. And remember, you're not alone. Millions of people are fighting this same fight. But you are going to win, one payment at a time. That's it for today's episode of Raggedy Ass Rich. If you're working on paying off debt, drop a comment and let us know what debt you're tackling first. Next episode, we're talking about investing for people who don't have rich parents. How to start with little money and actually build wealth. Until then, keep fighting, keep paying, and remember, freedom is on the other side of this. Peace.